So Amjad Awan, remember in 1979, this all gets established by Zbigniew Brzezinski, it gets established by Madeleine Albright, George Bush, Dick Cheney, etc. Amjad Awan goes to Central America, goes to Panama, starts a branch of a bank that was started in Pakistan for this weapons running, called BCCI, and he starts a branch in Panama in the spring of 1981. That is to set up Reagan for Iran-Contra. Again, this is going to break in the Congress in the first term of Reagan. It's going to break in a much bigger public investigation in the second term of Reagan. But again, it's a cover, it's a throw, it's a way of getting rid of Reagan, basically by falling on the sword, having Ollie North fall on the sword saying he did this project in order to take down Reagan. That's the key thing here. And it's so important to have a Joe Schmitz or a John Schmitz who's keeping the official diary of Vice President Bush, somehow lose the diary, somehow destroy that evidence, willing to fall on the sword. Again, the same people. Joe Schmitz is in this Iran-Contra. Meyer Brown is their law firm. That's the same one Mangiante is going over after she does her internship and going over and becoming an assistant to the head of the European Parliament. Nothing has changed in Iran-Contra. It's been a 40-year process. That's why I call it Awan-Contra. Imran Awan is Pakistani. Imran Awan is Pakistani. That means Awan-Contra includes Pakistan and Afghanistan and the money we've spent there over 40 years. I'm not saying it's a 1 or 2 year event or 3 year event that happened before Iran-Contra. Iran-Contra is a little bit of a blip. They let it go for as long as they could until they had a major airplane crash in 1986. They did it for 4 or 5 years. And then they let the project kind of move and settle. But Awan-Contra has been going 40 years, big and strong, in the multi-billions, and also the money spent in surveillance for Richard Armitage, for instance, for the P-3 Orion program, for the money spent for Lockheed, Raytheon, Northrop Grumman, even money that was given directly to the Army for bribery of the tribal chieftains. All this money, that's the big story here. Iran-Contra is your diversion. It's so important to get that right. And it's so important to understand this history, 1979 to now, this 4-decade. Peter Dale Scott does a great job of this. We talked about him right from the beginning, saying it was Iran, Afghan. The first book on the first 50 days, 60, 70 days of this series is Peter Dale Scott's Guns, Oil, and Drugs. That's the big story, Awan-Contra. Very small, minor story just to take out Reagan, Iran-Contra.